It's your intro,
Yep.
Jackson. Your intro.
Yeah, I know. It's like I started to whistle, but anyway, good evening and welcome to the Rivalry Week edition of the Final Whistle from yours truly, Jackson Johnson, and my partner in crime, Sports Talk with Austin himself, Austin Williams, as we bring you our take on our takeaways from what's been going on in Rivalry Week, like the 8 overtime game between Georgia Tech, and the 2024 edition of Clean Old Fashioned Hate, the 2024 Iron Bowl, the Lone Star Showdown coming back, the Michigan Wolverines upsetting the Ohio State Buckeyes, and much, much more. And let me tell you something, folks, it's going to be a wild ride. How you doing tonight, good buddy?
I'm doing pretty good, Jackson. The Governor's Cup back home where it belongs. It's back in the Ville. And Jackson, I feel like I gotta ask this just to be funny. What do you want to talk about? Anything good happened today?
Yeah, but I think we'll save that for a little bit later in the show because we have to start with a Thanksgiving appetizer. As the
Yes. Yes,
yep, Tulane.
I love a good
Like that.
appetizer.
Yeah. You warned me this is gonna be a good one, and Ryan Silverfield got him going.
And with that, Jackson, it ends any hope of the committee putting Tulane in, putting two group of five champions in. It's going to be the winner probably of the Mountain West game next week, which we will not give our predictions on any conference championship games tonight. Just to let y'all know, we're saving that for our picks and analysis for Wednesday. So
For
you're not going
sure.
to bait us into it. We're not going to take the rat poison. So yeah, I'm looking at you. Yes, you.
But
Stop. Not you, Jackson. I'm talking to our fans. Just in case they try to ask us, who do you think's going to... Just in case they're like, who's going to win the SEC? No, we're not going to answer that. You'll get that answer Wednesday. But I digress. But yeah. What'd you think of the game, Jackson? Or were you watching the Packers-Dolphins?
I couldn't bear to watch the Dolphins on Thanksgiving, honestly, because I was just like, okay, Tua on Thanksgiving night. I'm like, oh Jesus, they're gonna make him. They're gonna do awful stuff to him, aren't they? Good God.
I'll say this just real fast. Tulane could stop the run. Like, I'm literally sitting there saying they're going to run the ball. They're going to run the ball. And they're literally running the ball. And Tulane could not stop it. I'm thinking, and then the quarterback has all day back there. And it's just like, okay, well, the committee's probably throwing a hissy fit now, knowing that they can't start. The Tulane could get in and could kick out the Big 12 team. Good job, Tulane. You ruined ESPN's storyline. Good job.
There you go. I mean, it was never gonna happen anyhow. Like the Big 12 getting left out. I mean, it was just complete horse.
No, I think that was ESPN just trying to stir up some trouble. They were bored.
Oh yeah. Always being full of horse dung. That's the thing with them. But oh well for them. But Black Friday was a sloppy slate. It looked sloppy compared to Black Fridays of years past. I mean, the 2010 one, amazing slate with the Iron Bowl and Boise State, Nevada. Or like 2011 with LSU and Arkansas being at number 1 and number 3 in the nation. And in years past, seeing Arkansas, Missouri playing against one another, where Missouri clinches an East Division title by beating Arkansas. Or we see Nebraska, Iowa just killing each other. The sloppy slates mean one thing. What do they mean, Austin?
Upsets are coming.
Oh, yeah. And I believe this is the 5th time in the series history for the Clean Old Fashioned Hate rivalry that it was not played on a Saturday, if I recall correctly. But I can tell you right, well, and it was the first non-Saturday game at Sanford Stadium since '95.
Yeah, I'll say this, Jackson. You want to talk about, Jackson, you want to talk about classics? Georgia Tech, clean old fashioned hate rivalry. It's back, baby. Get used to this because we're going to be seeing this a whole lot more in years to come. And Jackson, I got to give you credit where credit's due. You told me about Brinton Key and the magic he's bringing to Georgia Tech football. Boy, oh boy, Jackson, if this is what we get every year, I'm here for it. Count me in.
Yeah, and oh, my mistake. This is the second time they've played on Black Friday. The first time was in 1994, which was the year to go see a great movie. 1995 was when they played on Thanksgiving Day. And I don't know what people were complaining about this game being on Black Friday. I mean, I know it was a little obscure, something you don't see every year, but still, I actually liked it. And people complained about it back in the month of May when this happened, and I was like, let me tell you something, folks. The reason why they put this game on Black Friday and the Egg Bowl on there was because they know it's going to be a ratings hit on ABC. I mean, seriously, who's getting excited about Arkansas, Missouri on Black Friday? Like, anybody in the chat, are you excited about Arkansas, Missouri on Black Friday? But like, which game excites you more, Georgia Tech or Arkansas, Missouri? Think about that.
If Arkansas and Missouri are both really good, probably that. But now that Georgia Tech football is coming back, Georgia Tech, I'll look forward to that game every year.
Well, and for me, Arkansas, Missouri's just felt kind of forced. Georgia Tech's been a historical rivalry in all of college football. They used to be conference rivals at one point in the SEC from 1932 to 1963 until, well, Bobby Dodd got real mad with Bear Bryant in the early 60s and wasn't too happy about the way SEC teams were recruiting players. But again, that's another story for another day. But 8 overtimes. Chat,
Yes.
how do we feel about the overtime rules, like the current ones? The ones that have been going on since 2021, we're starting in overtime number 3. You can only go for 2-point conversions. I don't see a rule where you can't go for field goals, so maybe somebody will exploit that loophole. Who knows?
See, here's the thing, Jackson. I want to make this clear. I have no problem with the alternating twos. I think it's a good idea. But the problem is there's only so many plays you can dial up. That's where my problem lies. Because Jackson, now you're at the point where normally back in the day, and this applies for the pros as well, it's where normally you have 2 or 3 2-point plays, okay? Because normally, you never know when you need one or could need it. But now, with these new overtime rules, you need at least 8 or 9, maybe even 10 2-point conversion plays. And the way this game went, Jackson, I wouldn't be surprised if they had to use some touchdown plays or fourth down plays to win this game. And I mean, and it was the simplest thing that won, Jackson. Georgia just ran the ball up the middle and got it. Why didn't nobody think to do that in the fourth or fifth overtime? Like, it was fundamental football that won instead of all this trick-a-maroo, do a slot cross, do a pitch back. Like, just run the dang football. What happened to just smash mouth football? Come on, man. Like, we couldn't have done that sooner. Like, seriously? Come on.
I like where Jason O's going with this, where he says the current overtime system kind of sucks. It feels like penalty kits. Yeah, I could see that because I mean, it's like if you have to do the alternate 2-point conversions, Do it like how you did in 2019 and 2020, where it starts in fifth overtime. Or better yet, go back to the old way of doing things from 1996 to 2018, where starting in overtime number 3, after you score a touchdown, you go for a 2-point conversion only. Like the old overtime rules, there was nothing wrong with them. Nobody had a complaint about the old overtime rules. It's just the NCAA ruined the fun for everybody because it was like, oh, everybody'd stay up for Texas A&M and LSU. That was too long of a game, so we're just going to change the overtime rules. Like, it was so stupid, so stupid. And you know, a lot of people talk about Penn State, Illinois from 2021, you know, being one of the games of the 2021 overtime rules, but Utah San Diego State was the first game with the new overtime rules set in place in 2021.
Because here's the thing, Jackson. And, you know, you just mentioned that LSU A&M game, right? Well, this game, they said they made these new rules for the attrition of the players, the health and well-being. We still played almost 10 overtimes. Tell me how that's healthy. Jackson, there has got to be
They did for
a
advertising.
healthier way. Here's my thing, Jackson. Like, I'm all for player and safety health, you know, because they are human beings too. But there's got to be a better way to do this that doesn't ruin the fun for us watching, but keeps the players healthy and safe. Instead of this war of attrition. Like, there's got to be a happy medium somewhere. Like, I don't know, start kicking field goals in the third overtime. I mean, then it would almost be like soccer, but at this point, I don't know what would be a good happy medium to it.
Because either way, medium, it's a the happiest medium.
Go for it.
The old overtime format of 1996 through 2018, like Jay Snow says.
I'm with you, but then you got the problem of LSU A&M all over again. And that's what they want to try to avoid.
That's like a once every 5 to 10 years sort of thing.
Try telling the committee that, Jackson, and see what they think. They'll probably laugh at you.
Well, the committee's a bunch of dumbasses, so.
Well, here's the thing, Jackson. I want to bring this up because I
don't give a damn
that
they got a bunch of suits and ties. I mean, yeah, you got nice clothes, but I bet you none of them stay up till 1, 2 a.m. looking at college football like we do.
Probably not. But Jackson, I don't want this to get lost in translation, right? I know we're talking overtime and everything, but Jackson, how many times do the announcers have to cram it down our throat? If Georgia wins, they're going to the college football playoffs.
They could not shut up about it. It's like, we get it. We get it. Georgia wins, they're in. Georgia wins, they're in. Yeah, I know. Like, are you like doing stuff you shouldn't do in front of other people just thinking about that? Like, good God. Oh, my God.
Like, here's the thing, Jackson. Like, don't get me wrong, I love Joe Tessitore. He's one of my favorite announcers, but he kept saying, Georgia, if Georgia wins this, Georgia is going to be in the playoffs, even if they get beaten in the SEC championship game. This is for the playoffs for Georgia. Georgia's playoffs. And it's like, Joe, we get it. Georgia's in the playoffs for the win. We got it. You don't have to keep telling us.
Yeah, doesn't Jesse Palmer have to do some stupid Food Network segment or The Bachelor afterwards after you get done talking about it's like good God, it's like Joe Tessitore is like playing with himself, just thinking about Georgia being in. Like, good God, is that how he really feels, or does somebody like really pay him? Obviously, somebody really pays him. I mean, it's ESPN. What do we expect? I mean, they're gonna be like, they're gonna be doing inappropriate stuff, just thinking about the SEC having 5 teams in.
Here's the thing, too, Jackson. And the funny part is when Georgia scored, they were all going crazy. Joe Tessitore was like, Georgia's in the playoffs. Georgia's in the playoffs. The dogs are in. And I'm like, thank you. Like, we got it. You told us 20 times before they got in.
I want to hear more about Georgia Tech, Joe.
And it's just like,
we
get it.
Like, none of these people even said a word about the history of the clean old-fashioned hate robbery. I didn't hear one word about this game being the second edition in the history of the rivalry to be played on Black Friday. None of those people talked about it. They didn't say a word about it like they should have. If they did their due diligence, they should have been looking up the game that they're calling. Like, my God. It's like, oh, my God. These people are
and here's the thing, too.
They're stupid.
And here's the thing, too. Hey, Jackson, this is not even where it ends. I know we could go on a full half-hour tangent just on this game, but we've got other games people want to talk about, and they're here to talk about. But what about all the missed calls in this game on both sides of the ball, especially Georgia Tech's? Oh, my gosh. Talk about it. Talk about it.
Well, I appreciate it, but I do get biased towards my own team every now and again, but I can hold my bias.
I think we all do.
You know, where it's I don't try to hide things, but it's just I don't get biased towards a conference. I mean, it's come on. It's like, do you ever see Minnesota pulling for Wisconsin win? No. Do you see Wake Forest pulling for Florida State? No. It's like, my God. But that's another time for another day. But I appreciate the love, Dave. I mean, and Clint Moses says one thing about ESPN is they bring out extra cameras for bigger games. Lesser games get fewer angles. I agree. I mean, that's why they're tossing out. I hate the way they're treating the Big 12, but at the same time, we do get college football and TNT. So, I mean, that's something. I mean, anything's better than nothing. I mean, and it's due to the inside the NBA trade. So, but yeah, the Georgia Tech. I can tell you right now, this year's edition is going to make people take it seriously. Like, I always hated the fact that people didn't take Alabama and Tennessee as seriously like as I did prior to 2022. And I've hated that people didn't even think about Georgia Tech. It's like, well, Georgia Tech's not even a rivalry. Oh my God, you know, it's what is Georgia game from Georgia play? What did they gain from playing Georgia Tech? Well, what the hell kind of thinking is that? That's been played since before our great grandparents were born.
Here's the thing, Jackson. It's one of them things. If you just keep beating a team over and over again, the other fan base is going to be like, what does this rivalry mean to us? Like, seriously. And I think, you know, we'll talk about it like Florida State, Miami, Florida, you know, Notre Dame, SC. You know, all these teams, when they go on those winning streaks, their fan base is like, there's no reason to play them. And it's why a lot of these media members will be like, oh, Georgia shouldn't schedule Georgia Tech because Georgia Tech's not on their level. Well, guess what? I think Georgia Tech's on the rise, and we're going to see more games like this from here on out. It's no longer going to be Georgia Tech losing 45-0. It's going to be 27-24 type games, 20-13. It's no longer going to be the blowouts that they were in years past. Get ready, folks. Georgia Tech is back.
It is indeed back. And I hope next year it's on Black Friday again or it's on Thanksgiving Day. Because honestly, yeah, I would love to see a Thanksgiving doubleheader of college football. That would be extremely fun. But again, that we'll definitely go over that at another point in time. And a huge win for the Georgia Bulldogs. And Georgia Tech, and as much as I hate it that they lost, on the bright side, people are going to take Georgia Tech seriously now.
Yes. And Jackson, if you didn't know, Georgia's in the playoffs. If you didn't know already,
Of course. I mean,
I had to throw that in there.
that's
We
all
can't
right.
forget that, Jackson. Joe Tessitore wants to make sure we didn't forget that. I just got it buzzed in through the headphones. They're paying.
I always keep bringing up about the fact that the broadcasters in the Alabama Mercer game, where it was like minutes before I'm starting the Alabama Mercer post game show on the Alabama channel, I hear those two dumbasses that are calling the game talking about, oh, well, if you're in the NC title game, you should be left out. You should be left out, no matter what. It's like they were sobbing over it like a 20-year-old girl eating ice cream, watching the freaking Notebook. Like, my
Or
God,
like
that
their
was
boyfriend just
irritating.
broke up with them.
It's like, oh my God, it's like, ah, you should be left out. If you're the NC talking, you should be left out. Like,
It's like we get it. We get it. We get it. Okay, we get it. It's just like, okay, like stop telling us Georgia's in the playoffs. Stop telling us the loser of the SEC championship should be in. We got it. We're all pretty smart here. We all probably knew that going into this year. Is
ask
Georgia in the?
ask Joe Tessitore.
But I tell you what, though, Jackson, one playoff hope that's still very much alive is Boise State as they fend off the Beavers.
Oh man.
I mean, good day for Ashton. Good day for Ashton Jeanty. Go ahead, good buddy. Go ahead. Didn't mean to cut you off. Go for it.
I wonder if Ashton Jeanty is going to be the Heisman winner. If he's not, I don't know what the Heisman committee's doing.
Jackson, it's him and Travis Hunter. Both of them are impressive. Here's my thing. Like, I know you've made your statement pretty clear, and I know what side of the fence I stand on. I'm more pro Travis Hunter. I think you are more Jeanty.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing to me that separates them is the fact that Jeanty is on a lesser talented team, and he's still putting up these numbers, whereas Travis is on a more talented team.
Yep.
So it's one of them things. It depends on your preference, but game on.
Yep.
I got you, Jackson. There you go.
Yep. Time to take a shot now, everybody.
But I'll say this: good win by Boise. And here's the thing: this Friday, the Mountain West Championship, which we'll make a prediction on when it's time. UNLV, Boise State, winner gets in the college football playoffs. Simple as that. How much better can it get?
There we go. The Egg Bowl. It was, and we knew it was going to be sloppy, and at the same time, we felt that Mississippi State would be bringing their A game, of course, because I mean, it's the Egg Bowl we're talking here,
and it's a rivalry.
Yeah.
I had a friend that I was watching this with, and he told me he was like, should I take Ole Miss with the points? And I'm like, I wouldn't, because you never know in rivalries. But it's one of them. Like this week, Jackson, I advise anybody, if you took the points, especially in that Ohio State-Michigan game, you probably lost some money taking a 21-point spread, which we'll get to that in a minute.
I told people the spread was too high on Ohio State. That was dumb.
Jackson, me and you both did. Me and you both had a fit, and people were like, why are y'all throwing a fit? Michigan's bad. Joke's on you all, which we'll get to that in a minute. We're jumping.
Oh, yeah.
Jumping us. I mean, it's a good win for Ole Miss. I mean, are they still alive for the playoffs? I'll let you be the judge.
Yeah. And we'll get to that in just a little bit.
But Jackson, I kind of feel sorry for this next game.
I know.
What's wrong with Oklahoma?
They had a bitch fit about not wanting to play Oklahoma because it's like, oh, well, you did it to yourself by leaving for the SEC. So it's like, I don't feel too bad for Oklahoma State. I mean, you won't play Oklahoma every year, so you get what you deserve.
And here's the thing, too. Jackson, you have a good buddy by the name of Cody Stovall, who you did a Jacksonian episode with, who loves him from Okie State. What?
I feel bad for him. I feel bad for him. He's a good dude. He's a good dude. I mean, it's like I do feel bad for Oklahoma State not doing well for my good buddy at Locked On Oklahoma State, Cody Stovall, who I talk with from time to time. And it was like I figured they'd be disappointing everybody, but I didn't think they'd be this bad. But I don't think anybody did. I mean, if anybody really said, "Oh, I expect Oklahoma State to go 3-9 this season," I want to know I want to know if they got the winning lottery ticket. That'd be my question.
Yes, anybody that had Oklahoma State going 3-9, I need to know, like you said, are you a wizard? Are you a witch? Because Jackson, I had them going 8-4. Self-admittedly, I had Oklahoma State going 8-4. I'll say that from the top, 8-4. I was like, I think they'll regress just a little bit, but not too much. Ollie Gordon, he's a Heisman candidate, top 15 pick possibly in the draft. They should get it done with that. But they were awful. Oh gosh. I feel so bad for the Cowboys fans. Cliff Moses says, I got friends that live in Stillwater. He's been over this season a long time ago. Giving away free tickets kind of bad. Oh wow. Jackson, you know that's bad if they start that. But go ahead.
Yikes. That is bad. But again, there's a huge dominating victory by the Colorado Buffaloes circling the wagons and a great turnaround by Coach Prime.
Yes. Okay, Jackson, time for us to take a little medicine, I guess. Dave, I know you're out there. I apologize. I need to learn my more Minnesota history for Wisconsin. I apologize. You got me on that one. I'll own up to it. I'm sorry. I should have picked the Gophers. And with that, Jackson, Wisconsin's streak of going bowling is over, thanks to Minnesota.
It's the first time since 2001 that they now have a losing season. And this is, I believe, the longest continuously played rivalry in all of college football. Because now with this victory, and our buddy Dave pointed out earlier a little while ago where Wisconsin fans didn't really care about Minnesota during the 14-game winning streak. They're not like that anymore, which thank God people are caring about the Wisconsin-Minnesota rivalry. Thank goodness for that. And, it was fun seeing it on Black Friday this year. It's like, again, you hardly ever see that game on Black Friday. It was a pretty cool experience all the time. It's like getting to see games you don't see. I mean, I know a lot of people complain about, like, oh, well, this game is on Black Friday. Oh, well, that game shouldn't be on Black Friday. It should be on Saturday. Well, here's the thing, though. Now, what's going to be the thing about Minnesota, Wisconsin compared to Michigan, Ohio State, or Notre Dame, USC on a Saturday? That's the thing, though.
Here's the thing, Jackson, I know this is going to get your blood boiling, but Luke Fickell, are Wisconsin fans being some of them are already starting to say, some are saying he's got one more year, and some are saying it's time for him to go. Jackson, what do you think? Well, what's the situation?
Well, our friend at Locked On Badgers, Ryan Herrings, says we need stability. We need to give Luke Fickell a few more years. We need to give him a couple more years. Like, just give him time, and he will make magic in Madison, Wisconsin. That's all.
Mm-hmm.
That's all you can ask out of anybody. I mean, dude's got a 7-year deal. What's the point of holding a deal if you're
Rushing
just
it.
gonna back out on it? Like, good grief! I mean, you just don't do that. You don't back out on a deal. Good God!
It's one of them things, Jackson. It's kind of like Matt Rule, like some of the crazy Nebraska fans. If they didn't make a bowl game, which we'll talk about Nebraska, Iowa here just a minute. Circle back to that. I mean, not circle back to that when we get to that. But it's one of them things where you have to be patient. This isn't one of them things where the first or second year guys just come in and light up the world, right? You got to be patient. Not everybody can be Urban Meyer, Nick Saban, and turn a program around snipty snap in a hurry. You got to give them time.
Stability is key, my friend. Stability is key.
I'm with you. I think you should get another year at least before we have any conversations. I'm all in favor of 4 years. That's what I've always said. 4 years, then let's have a talk.
True.
In 4 years, if Luke Fickell doesn't have them at least contending for the Big Ten, okay. Then we might need to have a conversation. But after 2 years, I get it. You're Wisconsin. You think you should be playing for Big Ten titles right away, but you're Wisconsin. You should be happy going 8-4.
Yeah, or 9-3.
Yes.
Dave says he has a weird feeling Wisconsin pulled a Bo Pelini when they fired Paul Chryst. Yeah, but I mean, they did get smacked by Illinois. So in their own backyard. So that was why they fired him.
If Clip Moses says if you've had a program burned to the ground before, 3 years is a solid leash. Yeah, 3 years. Like I'm not saying you need to give Luke Fickell his whole contract. Like 4 years tops. Like if you after 3 years, after next year, and you go 7-5, and you're like, you know what? I don't think you're a fit in Wisconsin. Then you can move on. That's acceptable. But after year 1 or year 2, like Mississippi State did with Jeff Libby, come on. That's not giving anybody a fair chance. Especially it's all about what you inherit too. Like Kalen DeBoer, he inherited a really good Nick Saban team, and he went 9-3 with it. Now, when he gets his own players in there and they keep going 9-3, okay, some Bama fans might get a little upset. I know, Jackson, you won't, but some of your fan base will get a little testy because they'll be like, Nick Saban wouldn't do that, Nick Saban. But I digress.
Well, and we're looking at Minnesota. PJ Fleck is now 4-4 against Wisconsin in his coaching career at Minnesota.
Here's the thing. I'll say the good win by the Gophers. I don't know what bowl game they'll end up in, but I hope they get a nice bowl win and have some momentum going into next year. And maybe they can roll the boat to the Big Ten title next year in Indy. Maybe.
Well, from what it looks like, they could probably go to the Pop-Tart Bowl or maybe like the Duke Mayo Bowl.
There you go. PJ Fleck get covered in Mayo. Get covered in Mayo.
Yeah, there you go. My mistake. Pop-Tart Bowl is ACC Big 12. So I'll make sure I got it right.
Yeah.
Or Pinstripe Bowl at Yankee Stadium. That's sweet.
Yeah, they could do that too.
Yep, 3 of those wins are in Madison, Wisconsin. You want to talk about crazy Big Ten football on NBC? Iowa had a crazy win against Nebraska.
Jackson, why does Iowa always find the luckiest way to win? Did you watch them in that field goal? How it bounced off the crossbar and went
I
in?
flipped between Nebraska, Iowa, and the Georgia Tech game, honestly. So it was like it was a good one.
And here's the thing, too, Jackson. And like Iowa, like what? Like 13 points, Iowa. Like, see, Jackson, I get it. It's a rivalry game. Rivalries are funny that way, but really, it wasn't like Nebraska was blowing you off the field either. Like, come on. And Nebraska had the game, Jackson. It was 10-3 with about 6 minutes to go. And they is this going to be the story of Nebraska, Jackson? Anytime they got something good, they can't hold on to it.
Yep. At the moment, yes. But the bowl game, we hope something better's going to happen. But let's watch that third year of Matt Rule. And the most important thing is they ended the losing streak against Wisconsin this season. That's what really counts.
I'm not complaining. You got the wrong guy. I'm not complaining. I'm just trying to speak for the crazy people because even though I'm a little nuts myself, I'm not that nuts, Jackson. I do have common sense. Like Matt Rule, you give him time, he's going to do wonderful things with Nebraska. We'll be talking about Nebraska going 9-3, 10-2, playing for a playoff spot in a couple of years. You give him time.
For sure. And Iowa's had a mixed bag season as well. I mean, they lost to UCLA, lost to Iowa State, but they did beat their rivals, Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Nebraska. But they didn't beat their in-state rival, unfortunately.
Yeah, Iowa doing Iowa things. But good win, though. Jackson, let's pay some respect to this. Kyle Whittingham, was this it?
Ooh, good question.
Let me start with that. Was that it for him on Friday night? Did we witness the last game of the Kyle Whittingham era?
We're going to find out on Black Sunday. We're going to find out and see.
I mean, it's a great win, especially after everything Utah's been through. But the more important news, Jackson, is why not bring it up now? The breaking news of Gus Malzahn resigning, and he will be the brand new OC for 2025 for Florida State. What do you think about that news, Jackson? And who does UCF get to replace?
Oh, they're going to win a natty, I'm sure. Ooh, they're going to win a natty.
Who, Florida State or UCF?
No, Florida State. I'm just like, yeah. I'm gonna wait and see what happens with this move. I hope it works out for him. I really do. But I'm wondering if time has passed by Malzahn a little bit.
I think honestly, I think he's a heck of an offensive coach. He's still proving he's got it. But as far as being a winning coach, I feel like he needs to go to a program that's already got the players built in for him. Like not being at a starter program like UCF. Like I feel like he needs to go to something like an Oregon or something and go be an OC there or something. Or go to like a Washington, something that's already got a culture built and with more talented players than what he's got. I think he's still got a little bit left. But as far as like winning an Natty, probably not.
Oh, he's never gonna win a Natty. I mean, that's just never gonna happen for him.
And Jason O says the Gus bus is coming to Tally. I tell you what, if Gus Malzahn wins a Natty at Florida State, me and Jackson, we will personally sing the Florida State fight song. You heard it here first.
That's all right with me.
But Jackson, now
I'm just glad it's not like we gotta eat dog poop or something. Like, good God.
No, I wouldn't do that to you, good buddy. I love you too much. We'll just sing the fight song, something more mature. But Jackson, the shocker to end all shockers, to start your Saturday, Michigan stuns the world and upsets the Buckeyes in Columbus.
Yeah.
Take it away, Jackson. I want your thoughts on this.
That's the number 2 team in all of college football. Are you serious? Like, you didn't even take advantage of any opportunities that were handed to you. Like, my God, that was pitiful. That was pitiful, the Buckeyes. But on the bright side, huge momentum for the Michigan Wolverines. I mean, along with getting Bryce Underwood for the 2025 recruiting class, you got a humongous win over the Buckeyes. And it's like, maybe it's just me, but Ryan Day is John Cooper 2.0.
Jackson, I want to say this. And I'm going to say this. What did me and you tell everybody Friday? I mean, not Friday, Tuesday, when we predicted our scores. I said 23-20 Ohio State. You said 27-13. And there were some Ohio State fans saying, oh, you're being too nice to Michigan. This is going to be ugly. It's going to get ugly. Excuse me? What about getting ugly again? Ohio State, never take your opponent lightly. Just ask Alabama about that. Because just because Michigan was down doesn't mean you need to take them lightly.
Ooh.
And they saw that today. Jackson, I think that's what cost them more than anything.
Oh, yeah.
They took Michigan lightly. They thought, oh, Michigan sucks. Michigan doesn't have a quarterback. We're going to go in there, run them over. We've got the best players across the board. And what happened? It bit them in the ASS.
Karma is a BITCH.
And here's the yes. Take it away, Jackson.
Oh, we'll definitely get to Kyle McCord in a minute and the humongous day he's been having. And oh man, like, I mean, Ohio State's still in the playoffs either way. They're just not going to the Big Ten title game, which we're going to be getting to on who's going there in a little bit to play Oregon. But oh my God, that was a wild day for the Ohio State-Michigan rivalry.
Here's the thing, Jackson. I don't want this to get lost on people. Ohio State, how much NIL did they put into this team? Quite a bit, right?
A lot. And they did less but more.
And here's the thing, Jackson. They were bragging all year about bringing in Caleb Downs, getting Quinshon Judkins. Will Howard is better than Kyle McCord. He's going to take them over the top. This is going to be our quarterback. And you still couldn't beat Michigan. So, to all the Ohio State fans who were talking all that crap, time for you to take your seat back at the kiddie table and come talk to me when you could beat Michigan again.
Oh my God. Okay? Like all that talking about your meat chickens, a bunch of cheaters. Oh, we're gonna beat the cheaters, and oh my God, oh my God, we're gonna
Stallions.
I'm just like, shut up. Like, oh well, we got jail to the Venters. Like, shut the fuck up.
Like, listen, and Jackson, like John said today on the post game, it was one excuse after another, right? Connor Stallions. Oh, one excuse after another. It was Connor Stallions. Then it was Burgergate. All these things. What's your excuse now, Ohio State? What's your excuse? Like, what are you going to tell us? Because you got nothing now. And by no means are we Ohio State, Michigan fans, excuse me. We're just sick and tired of hearing them yip-yap in their own fan base saying that we're going to beat meat chicken. We're going to Jail to the victors. We're going to put them in their place. Their reign of terror is over. Well, guess what? It's not over. That's 4. Count it up. 4 years in a row.
Not a single win in this decade.
Yep. So Ohio State, you get your butts back to the kiddie table and come talk to the adults when you're ready, when you want to act like it. And number 2, Ohio State, what you did today was uncalled for. Like, Jackson, if you want to talk about it, we can. The fighting in midfield when Michigan planted their flag.
I mean, honestly, on the one hand, it's like you don't want some team planting their flag on your logo, but on the other hand, if you don't like it, don't put yourself in that kind of position in the first place.
And here's the thing, Dave Linsky, you never said more truer words. If you don't like Michigan planting the flag in the middle of your field, don't lose the dang game.
It's like the people it's like the people that piss and moan, and I hear it with like some older people in like my family or like some friends of mine where they're like, oh well, that's not classy doing a touchdown celebration. And they always complain about that. And it's like, come on. You don't want somebody celebrating on your field or doing a little dance or whatever, don't allow them to score. Is that simple?
Mm-hmm.
Or it's like, oh, well, you're scoring, while on a 40-point lead with 5 seconds left in the game. Then there again, don't put yourself on that position. Well, they should have just taken it. I don't want to hear it. Don't want to hear that. Well, they should take it. Like,
nope.
I don't care.
And Khalil Mullin said it best, Jackson. They had 40 minutes to beat them, and they couldn't do it. They had 40 minutes to beat them, and they couldn't do it. And it's just like one of the things. Here's the thing, Jackson. What was Ohio State's claim to fame? Their defensive line, right? Defensive line, they said, oh, we're going to stop Khalil Mullins, Donovan Edwards. We're going to take away the one thing Michigan does great. Guess what? Michigan's O-line in that fourth quarter pushed them around, bullied them, and won that football game. So you know what, Ohio State? Go back to the drawing board. You lost.
Yep. Back in the pen. Back in the pen. That's all I could say. Go back to your little pen, Buckeyes.
And here's the thing, Jackson. The fighting and stuff and the pepper spraying.
Oh, God.
I understand. It got a little out of hand. And I get it got out of hand, yes. It shouldn't have been taken to that level. But here's the thing. If you wanted to prove you were tougher, you should have done it on the field. You should have won the game. Mm-hmm. Like they said. And like he said, they did have plenty of chances to win too. Jackson, both teams did. Did you see how many times, Jackson, they threw red zone interceptions?
God, it was the passing game sucked from both teams. My God, it was just sloppy. It was horrible. It was outrageous. It was so Jackson, bad.
Like, you gotta think, Jackson. Listen. Like I said, I'm not a fan of either team, but I'm sitting there thinking, Will Howard throws a pick, and then Warren throws it back to Downs, and Downs catches it, and I'm thinking, oh gosh, would somebody just score? And then the field goal kicker for Ohio State, Fielding, missed the 34-yarder, missed it completely off the mark, and I'm thinking, at that point, and then Davis Warren, Captain Jack, as Gus Johnson calls him, gets the pick on the goal line. He just didn't loft it high enough because he was open. It was just like one mistake after another. Jackson, I felt like I was watching a Pee Wee football game there for a minute. Like simple first grade stuff they teach you. at both teams. Yeah.
Good God Almighty! It was like what happened today was a failure to communicate. Like, I wish that fat dude that was the warden on Cool Hand Loot was there to witness it, where he could just go with his little line of "What we got here is failure to communicate." Some men they just learn the hard way when that's the way he wants it. Well, he gets it.
And let me ask you this, Jackson, before we move on to our other games, because we've got plenty to talk about. Ryan Day, what do you think of that situation, Jackson? I heard it all night from the Voice College football callers. I've heard it on Twitter. People are saying Ryan Day could be coaching his last days in Columbus. What do you think? Like, just give your take real fast, Jackson.
We're going to wait and see. I think he'll either have to lead Ohio State to a national championship or he'll have to get them going far in the playoffs. But either way, he's going to have to think of something and fast. But
I'll say this, Joe.
Oh, go ahead.
Real quick, Jackson. Just real quick, like Mark says, if you think you can find somebody better, be my guest. If there's somebody out there better than Ryan Day, show me.
There's always somebody better. There's always somebody better. But we just hope for their sake it doesn't become a Bo Pelini situation. So we'll wait and see. But in the meantime, Tennessee coming back all over the place against Vandy. Let's be real. The Vols clinched a playoff spot with this victory. How are you feeling about this game?
Yes. So I'll be completely honest with you, Jackson. I was flipping between the Louisville, Kentucky game and then the game. I kept Dave. Oh shoot, Dave. We will get Syracuse. They were in the 3:30 window. Jackson's going in time order. We will get there. Don't worry. We ain't skipping over nothing. Don't you worry, good buddy Dave. Don't you worry. But so Jackson, take me through the sequence of events. What happened here?
Well, like, Tennessee was trailing 17-7 at one point, ended the first half with 17 unanswered points, then got some more scores where it was 9 points. It went from 7-17 trailing that by that point to getting a humongous 26 unanswered points. 33-17. Humongous, right? Amazing for the Volunteers. They showed Vandy, you're not going to do what you almost did to Texas and what you did to Alabama. It was a wild ride. It was ugly. And we see Aiden. Wait, where are you, Austin?
There you go. My mic was muted.
Right, Raggy.
Can you hear me, Jackson?
Loud and clear.
Okay.
Chat,
my
let
mic
us know
was muted. Good win. Yeah. I think my mic was muted. We're good. But yeah, good win for Tennessee, though. Good win for Tennessee. And more than likely, they're going to be in the playoffs. Unless all heck breaks loose.
Yep.
And you never know, Jackson. The committee might do something crazy and leave them out. I don't know.
They're not. Though there's somebody else that's not SEC or Big Ten, but we'll wait and see. I could be wrong. But Illinois had a pretty good day with Aiden Lawry. He had a great day with 12 carries, 172 rushing yards, and 3 touchdowns. How about that?
Oh, there we go. Yeah, Jackson, this was another one I didn't happen to catch any of. because unfortunately, good buddy, I was paying attention to the other games. So, good win for Illinois, though. I'm happy for our Illini people. Good win.
There's your boys at Louisville, smacked Kentucky. Take them, Slim.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you. We finally put the Kentucky to bed. Thank you, Lord. We can now put that behind us. The Governor Cup is home in its rightful place, and it's going to stay that way. Kentucky, you're still little brother in football. Basketball will have. It's okay. At this point, I'm used to Jackson picking against
Louisville. It wasn't personal. For record, I wanted Louisville to win. I was like, I reluctantly have to go Kentucky at the time because, like, I'm so used to their dumbass winning streak.
Here's the thing, and this is the thing I've known about Jackson since we first met. Any pick he makes, I don't take personal because Jackson does it for business. Now, there's been times he's picked against his own team, if that tells you anything about his character. But it was a good win. Happy. We're 8-4. I don't know what bowl we'll get. I don't know. I mean, we might. I've also heard rumblings from the Twitter world that they may put us back in the Holiday Bowl again.
Yeah, because you'll have this.
Which, if that's the
bowl.
Now, Jackson, don't. Yeah, I was going to say, we don't want to get copyrighted here. Ben will be
it's
upset.
Not copyright. That's why I play it 3-5 seconds.
But yeah, it was a good win. Good win. Happy we're going bowling, so we got another game.
So there we go. It was a fantastic win. But Kansas, like Duke had a game-winning touchdown to end it against Wake Forest. It was holy Toledo. That was crazy. Crazy touchdown by Malik Murphy.
Oh my gosh, Jackson. I watched the highlights of this on Twitter. Duke pulled out a squeaker. Like you said, Malik Murphy put the big boy britches on and threw a big boy touchdown dive. And I'm thinking, Duke avoided disaster. But unfortunately, Jackson, we got to talk about it. What happened to your Jayhawks, good buddy? Your beloved Cinderella.
Failure to communicate. A failure to communicate, but on the bright side, maybe next year, and I do mean this genuinely, maybe next year will be a better year. But as for the Baylor Bears, they were left for dead at 2-4, and now they ended the season with 6 straight wins. If there was any doubt that it was like when Baylor clinched bowl eligibility, that was basically Dave Aranda being able to keep his job. Like, let's see if Baylor can win their bowl game this year.
Jackson, one coach that's a dead man walking is Mr. Neil Brown. It's not if, it's when.
Oh, yeah. He's screwed. I mean, you're losing to a
Jackson, look at the whipping. Look at the whipping that they put on him today. Ugly.
That's something you shouldn't ever show children. So it's like, I hope there's not any children watching. Who am I kidding? There's not really any children up watching this show. It's like they'll need to be seeing Texas Tech beating up on West Virginia. It's like, mommy, what are they doing? It's like, they're playing with one another. Wonderful.
Oh, no. And Jason O says Kansas's cheeks. Leopold's going to ruin his career over there.
Nah, this is Lance Leopold's last stop. He's fine.
Yeah, and the Big 12 is, let's be honest, it's not the Big 10 of the SEC. Kansas might be able to win the Big 12 at least once in his tenure there. Let's not kid ourselves.
It's like our buddy Only Taught Sports said. The money is the SEC and the Big Ten.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where it is, man. But South Carolina Clemson was basically a playoff second round game.
Oh my God. What a freaking game. Jackson, I caught the very, very last ending of this on my iPad. What a freaking finish. Shane Bieber and the Gamecocks. Jackson, I'm going to plant the flag now. South Carolina, give them a playoff spot. I don't care if they haven't beaten anybody or not. They've won my vote.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Lenoris, the QB
Sellers.
for South Carolina. Yeah, Lenoris Sellers. Oh, yeah. Humongous touchdowns he made today. Oh, my God. That was huge.
And 1-2 says 3 losses is too much. Here's the thing.
Agreed.
Here's the problem, though. That's the problem we're going to run into, though. It's because Alabama's sitting at 9-3. Spoiler alert.
Mm-hmm.
And people are talking about them having a great chance to still make it. It's going to be one of the things where I feel like, everyone's going to beat up on one another, and it's just going to. And 1 or 2 3-loss teams are going to sneak in somehow, some way, whether we like it or not.
Yep.
And Jason O says South Carolina might sneak in there. Agreed. If the field gets beat up, if Clemson loses, I'm trying to think, what else would we need to happen? Jackson, what would need to happen for South Carolina to sneak a spot?
Oh, they're gonna have to pull. They're gonna have to pull for Clemson to win the ACC title against SMU, which we'll get to that in a little bit. Even though, SMU would have 2 losses in that case, but I just feel like if SMU doesn't win the ACC title game that Saturday, they are the team that's screwed. And I think South Carolina is definitely going to be pulling for Clemson to win the ACC.
I mean, here's the thing. It would have been nice, which we'll get to, if Notre Dame would have lost, then the door really would have been kicked open. But the fact that they won, I think the door's kind of almost shut now because Notre Dame's taking up a spot.
Oh yeah, I think we're gonna see, like, of course, we're seeing the SEC champ and the runner-up, the Big Ten champ and the runner-up, the Big 12 champ. So let me see. So that's 5. The Group of 5 champion, which would be the Mountain West champ, that's 6.
Mm-hmm.
The ACC champ is obviously getting in, so that's 7. So that leaves 5 spots remaining.
And one of them's going to belong to Notre Dame, more than likely.
Mm-hmm.
Tennessee.
So that's 8, 9.
Then we really get down to the hard end. Yeah, I think Indiana. I think they've done enough.
Ohio State 3, basically, because they're blue blood. So it's like I don't see anybody that's a blue blood in the SEC or Big Ten getting left out of the fold.
So the way we've got it, Jackson, is 2 spots left. Mm-hmm. And just the thing, here's the thing: Miami's still sitting there, Alabama's still sitting there, Ole Miss. So come to think of it, it may not be the Cocky's year.
I think, honestly, SMU will have to win the ACC in order to get in. They have no room to lose. They have to win. Because that is a team. Because we've seen how the committee has acted towards them. They don't care about SMU. They didn't even bother to watch them. They just sat on their butts having their little Chateaubriands and their cappuccinos. Did I
Here's the
just
thing.
I need to figure out what's like the wealthy alcoholic beverage they drink. I don't know. I'm not an alcohol kind of
Champagne.
guy. Like champagne or whatever they call that. Don't you only drink that at like weddings or celebratory stuff or no?
Jackson, to be completely honest with you, I have no clue, but
Yeah, but I mean, you know what? We'll go to Notre Dame. Humongous, much needed victory.
yeah, speaking of
Notre
them,
Dame is in. How you feeling about this one, man?
so I watched this one. Man, Jackson, my upset prediction almost came true. Daggone it. USC, you threw a damn pick six? Really? Damn it. Pardon my language. I'm so sorry. USC ticking me off. Because Jackson, they had the game. They had Notre Dame reeling, and then they throw the pick six. Like,
Mhm.
really? Really?
It's a
USC?
disaster. It's a disaster.
Like, Jackson, like, this game was 35-35 all, and then they throw the pick six, and it's just like, son of a... Kick me off.
Yep.
And 1-2 says, is Notre Dame for real? Could they really win the Natty? I don't know. Notre Dame might win a playoff game. Let's not call them Natty contenders.
If they can do what they haven't done since the 90s, which is win a big postseason game, then that really shows us Marcus Freeman is the future in South Bend.
Which, Jackson, speaking of big games today, the 2024 edition of the Iron Bowl for the Alabama Crimson Tide get it done 28-14, thus potentially clinching a playoff berth and giving Auburn the yellow hammer of Rammer Jammer, Alabama. Jackson, you're the Bama man here. Take it away.
We needed a good running game today. That was key against Georgia, Wisconsin, Missouri, LSU. That was key. When we didn't have a good running game, it was against South Carolina, Vanderbilt, Oklahoma, Tennessee. We lost three of the 4 of those games that I mentioned. Anytime we've had a good running game this year, we've won. That's what happened for the Crimson Tide today. We had a great running game. We were lucky that those turnovers didn't bite us in the rear, especially that fumble from Ryan Williams. And oh my God, that almost bit us. And again, luckily, Auburn was just a bit outside on their field goal in the first quarter. And here's an interesting scenario. And I talked about this in the Alabama-Auburn postgame show on Alabama with the Voice of College Football. That I think this team is similar to the 2017 team and the 1965 team, not because of like, oh, they could win a natty, but because of the situation that they are in, where they need a lot of luck to get in to the playoffs. 1965, and this is a little history lesson for tonight. I won't be putting out any more history lessons for the rest of the night after this, I promise. But 1965, we were the number 4 ranked team in all of college football. We had a loss against Georgia that was biting us in the rear. We had a tie against Tennessee that was biting us in the rear. It made Coach Bear Bryant so mad that he kicked the locker room door off its hinges and scared the sheriff. So, but we got on a huge win streak, including a humongous victory over Auburn. But we needed some luck. And luckily, the 1965 season was the first season where the AP poll was like, all right, we'll count the bowl games. We will count the bowl games. And what happens? Luck happens. Number 1, Michigan State loses to UCLA in the Rose Bowl, the grand day of them all. Number 2, Arkansas loses to LSU in the Sugar Bowl. And number 3, Nebraska goes against the number 4 Alabama Crimson Tide for all the marbles in the 1966 Orange Bowl. And what does Alabama do? They just obliterate them in a 39-28 victory in a tenacious 1965 victory for the national championship. And good for the Alabama Crimson Tide. 2017. Let's go. Let's strike over to 52 years later. The Alabama Crimson Tide lose to Auburn on rivalry week. They're out, right? Well, not necessarily. They can still get into the 14 playoffs. What they need is Wisconsin, an unbeaten team, to lose to the Ohio State Buckeyes. What did the Ohio State Buckeyes do, my friends? They upset the Wisconsin Badgers. And what did we need today? We need the Alabama Crimson Tide needed the Syracuse Orange to see if they can pull off some magic against the Miami Hurricanes. It doesn't help Alabama.
I see what you did there.
We're going to find out Tuesday night as well as to what ranking the Alabama Crimson Tide will be. And I'm glad I'm talking about Miami Syracuse because we have Kyle McCord, Brandon Brown, and the Syracuse Orange knocking the Miami Hurricanes out of the ACC title game. However, since so many people in this country have such a nostalgia for the 80s, I feel like that's keeping Miami in. And who is the big dog of the 80s in all of college football? The Miami Hurricanes. And I agree, the committee seems to be ignoring strength of schedule, and they're ignoring strength of victory as well. They are ignoring that humongously. It is bad for all of college football. But this Syracuse victory was huge, and Ohio State's definitely regretting letting McCord go. Austin, what was your takeaway from this game?
Jackson, I tried to warn everyone about the dome being haunted. Teams that go to Syracuse don't normally come out on the good end of it. And it happened today. It bit Miami. And did you see Fran Brown's post game, Jackson? When he told the reporter, he said, Dabo, I got you. Enjoy your ticket.
Well, maybe if he plays his cards right, maybe he can be the guy that gets Syracuse an ACC title instead of just being that guy that helps teams get in the ACC title game, which it seems like he's going to do that at some point.
Maybe, just maybe. But good win for Syracuse. And on the day that Ohio State loses to Michigan, Kyle McCord beats Miami. Jackson, you can't script it any better than this. The team that shunned him said he was no good, just single-handedly could have eliminated Miami as we know it.
Well, we'll wait and see what happens on Tuesday. But Jay Snow disagrees with my comment about where I said that a lot of people seem to be nostalgic for the 80s. Well, I mean, everybody's so nostalgic about everything. They like to get nostalgia about 30 years ago, 40 years ago. I myself made that mistake of being nostalgic for the 2000s, stuff like that. But good grief, a lot of these guys on the committee, my God, they're old. They're old, and it's like, yep, they look like they would be nostalgic for the 80s. Be like, oh my God, I was so cool back in 1984. It's like, oh God. It's like they look like the kind of guys that are posting on Facebook about how, the 1980s were great when you could do this, you could do that. We weren't in dark, we did that. It's like, shut up. Shut up. You're
And
posting on Facebook on your phone and while you're sitting on the toilet, you freaking imbecile.
oh, jeez. You know what, Jackson? I'm just going to leave that there. And shall we talk about the next game? Make a segue out of the awkwardness.
Well,
Oh,
Syracuse
gosh.
laid a big round orange on Miami's ACC title hopes. But with Ohio
Agreed.
State losing today against the Michigan Wolverines, guess who's next in line to possibly clinch a berth in the Big Ten title game? The Penn State Nittany Lions. What do? They smack Maryland around like they're supposed to. I mean, Maryland's freaking
Good job, Penn State.
Yeah, Maryland's pathetic, but guess who we're going to see Penn State play in the Big Ten title? The Oregon Ducks for all the marbles of the conference.
So I want you to explain this to people, because some people might be thinking, why does Penn State get the bid over Indiana? Well, here's the thing. Since they did not play head-to-head, you play the most common opponent, correct?
Yeah, and the strength of record of conference opponent. So Illinois.
Well, I was just going to say, Jackson, because Penn State played a closer game with Ohio State, that's what got them the bid, correct?
Well, but the strength of conference opponents record. Because, like, for example, Illinois went 9-3 in the regular season, but they went 6-3 in conference play. So Penn State beating Illinois on NBC in week 4 really helped out the Nittany Lions. And we look at Indiana. Yeah, they beat a 7-5 Michigan team. That didn't help them. They had Nebraska 6-6. That didn't help them. Michigan State missed bowl eligibility. We'll get to that in a bit. Not good enough. Maryland, pitiful. Northwestern, pitiful. Purdue,
Washington, pitiful.
Yeah. Well, Penn State, Indiana both had Washington, but yeah. Well, Minnesota 7-5. Oh my God. Well, the Illinois game really helped Penn State. Now, if Penn State had Rutgers on there, then we would have been seeing quite a battle. Penn State, Indiana. Who bought where? That would have been a cluster.
But because of the strength of schedule, the Ohio State, and the crucial Illinois victory, Penn State, Oregon next Saturday for the Big Ten. Thus, with whoever wins the Big Ten will more likely not only get a first-round bye, but could clinch the overall number 1 seed. Couldn't get any better.
True. I mean, Penn State's in the playoffs either way. No ifs, ands, or buts. But speaking of Oregon, they smacked Washington tonight.
Yeah. Good job, Oregon. You want a cookie? Shoot.
Well, and Dan Lanning got his first win against them. So fourth time was a charm for the Ducks under Dan Lanning.
They beat a pitiful Washington, Jackson. Shoot.
Win's a win. But in the meantime, the Lone Star Showdown has returned for all of college football on Thanksgiving. I feel like a kid on Christmas morning witnessing this game.
Oh my gosh, Jackson. I got a headache watching that game. I still got it. Texas A&M, they are a bunch of... Oh my gosh. Real, listen, Jackson, how many times did Texas try to give A&M the game?
Oh my God.
It's that's why I got my headache. Because Mike Elko, it's 17-7. Why not kick the field goal? Really? I get it going forward. It's for all the marbles. It's for the right to play in Atlanta. I understand that. But kick the dang field goal. Your defense has been holding up just fine. Trust them just one more time. Like that's why it's giving me a headache, Jackson.
I'm
Like,
just happy
good
about
grief
the
almighty.
rivalry coming back because it's like it's gonna be back for good.
Unless the SEC decides to be buttholes and not make it a protected rivalry,
Oh, I'm gonna
and wants to make.
Oh man, I'd have a hissy fit at the grocery store if that happened.
They'll make LSU Texas a protected rivalry instead. Like,
yeah, LSU.
And it'd just be like LSU. But yeah, good win for Texas though. Their defense really came alive late. Their defensive line, well, what a humongous performance.
But
Good
they're
win for
now
them.
in the SEC title game against Georgia, and winners in the top 4 gain a bye week, but loser gets an at-large bid.
Mm-hmm. And 1-2 says BYU finishes 10-2, absolutely remarkable season. Hold your heads up high, Cougs.
You get to play
they have nothing to be ashamed of. Nothing to be ashamed of, BYU. Nothing to be ashamed of.
It's unfortunate. Took their business against Cal because, like, once again, they realize there's no room for error. They know the committee's being ugly to them, so they got to smack Cal around.
Yep. Indiana and SMU took care of business against lesser opponents.
Oh, my God. Like, Indiana smacking Purdue off the face of the earth with a 66-0 victory. That was the largest victory in school history for the Hoosiers. And knowing how Kurt Sidnetti has been working all season, they're not done yet. He's not letting them forget
it. Jackson, I before I hopped on here with you, I was scrolling through my Twitter feed, and there was people upset. They were mad at Indiana. They're like, "Oh, Indiana's being front runners. How dare they do this to poor Purdue? They're being front runners." And I'm sitting here thinking, really? And it's like one of the things, like, really? Like, really?
Don't like it? Don't get snatched. Don't let prepare better.
The Purdue powerhouse 1-2 said. And Jason O says, dang, Indiana. And Jackson, I probably know why Indiana probably did I won't say front run, but put up more points than they probably should have, just to put the icing on the cake to the committee. That way the committee has no excuse to leave them out. Wouldn't you agree?
Oh, yeah. I agree completely.
Like, let's be honest, Jackson. If they would have beat Purdue, say 21-0, then that would have left room for the committee to be like, oh, you did hold them scoreless, but you only did score 21. This way, the committee has no excuse. It's over. Indiana should be in, unless there's highway robbery.
Oh, yeah.
Which there still could be. They could put 10-2 Miami in over Indiana. Would surprise me. But go ahead.
But somebody basically clinched a bid to the Big 12 title game by going worst to first and smacking Arizona off the face of the earth. How about the Arizona State Sun Devils? Nice.
I'm so proud of them, Jackson. This is great for college football. Arizona State is back. Kenny Dillingham and the Sun Devils are back, baby. And they have a date with the Iowa State Cyclones Saturday afternoon. It's going to be the Arizona State Sun Devils and the Iowa State Cyclones for a playoff bid.
Oh, yeah.
Like Jackson, we're going to have a good game Saturday on ABC.
Dilly, agreed. And in the 2020...
I'm so happy. I'm so happy for Kenny Dillingham. I'm just ecstatic.
But you know who I'm happy...
He did it. Go ahead.
You know who I'm happier for as well? Matt
Who's that?
Campbell. Because Iowa
Yes.
State now has their first ever 10-win season in school history. And yeah, they did look awful. And good point, 1-2. Kansas State did try to lose really, really hard. And it was, I guess. And now Iowa State is going to be playing for their third conference title in school history. Like if they win the Big 12 next week, which we'll get how it got clinched in just a little bit. There are only 2 conference titles that this school has. One's in 1911, the other one's in 1912. You know, that was both in the Missouri Valley at that time. Man, we didn't even have World War One. I think like that was like the year before the man, that was before like one of our amendments got released in 1913. I know there was like an amendment, but there it is. 16th Amendment of income tax, which I mean, who likes that? Sounds like 1912.
Jason Olsen says an Arizona State versus Iowa State championship game. Whoa, put the women and children to bed.
On.
Man.
You know why, Matt Campbell? Come on.
And 1-2 says should have been Colorado BYU. ASU Iowa State seems boring and the winner will lose in the playoffs immediately. I mean, I get it probably from the Colorado standpoint. There'll be more eyeballs on it. And BYU. But here's the thing. I think we all know going into it, the Big 12 champion will probably get bounced first round. But it's the fact of the principle of it. You won your conference. You earned a right to the playoff bid. And who knows what can happen. You never know. It's one game. Arizona State could upset whoever the 5 seed is. Or they could upset a Notre Dame. You never know.
Yep. And it'll be a wild ride in Ames, Iowa. Congrats to coming on into the Big 12 title game and seeing if you can clinch your first conference title since 1912. I would love to see that.
I see Arkansas blew another game.
Yeah, they got to play in the snow. That was pretty cool. I mean, you don't see an SEC game in the snow. That's so cool.
Oh, Sam Pittman.
Well,
but on a better note, Jay.
Yeah, Sam Pittman's going through a lot health-wise. I mean, he coached from the sidelines, from the coach's box instead of the sidelines because of the fact that he's going to be having hip surgery.
Sean Gardner with the crying emojis, he's still upset. We tried to warn you, dude. We told you it wasn't going to be a cupcake ride. We tried to warn you. Me and Jackson both warned you, but you all didn't want to listen. Next year, you'll listen to us.
Well,
but go ahead, Jackson.
It happens. But Arkansas, Missouri, that was a pretty good game. I mean, we got to see Missouri after they scored a touchdown make a snow angel. I mean, I remember a 2008 NFL game where some guy from the Patriots scored a touchdown. He made a snow angel. That was so cool for a touchdown celebration. You can't penalize somebody for making a snow angel. Snow angels are nice.
But Jackson, the bigger picture here is UNLV and Barry Odom are one win away from a playoff berth.
I know, right? I mean, that's a forced game.
And 1-2 says, imagine UNLV in the playoff while Colorado, Alabama, Clemson, BYU watches on what a clown show of a playoff system. I mean, it kind of makes it fun, to be honest with you. Like the Group of 5 team still has a chance. They probably won't win anything, but at least it gives them a chance. They feel like they're a part of it.
Yep. Let's see. Well, we coasted through the 11 a.m. games. Oh, Pitt. Oh, no. Pitt. No. No.
Pitt. Pat Narduzzi's falling apart. Cheaper than a suit on Black Friday.
Jesus.
Rutgers won.
Boston College. Oh, that's nice. But
UCLA won. Good job.
There we go. Matt Brown's last regular season game didn't end well, but it's unknown whether he's going to coach the ball game. But for the record, I think Matt Brown should coach the ball game.
Poor Matt Brown. So sad. That's so sad. Northern Illinois won.
I knew it was going to happen when he got fired, unfortunately.
UTEP.
Yeah, they're pitiful. Scott Satterfield. Cincinnati's going to get tired of him eventually.
Oh, yeah. Cincinnati. Yeah, go for it.
But a much-needed win by TCU. Tremendous. Washington State, oh my God, what has been going on? 3-game losing streak. That is bad. You can't end the season like that. Please don't tell me you're going to play like that in your ball game. You're going to play like that on your ball game, aren't you?
Jackson, out of respect for our good buddy Jason O, let's skip over this next one. Good job, Florida. You want a cookie? Shoot. Let's talk about LSU.
Florida State shouldn't have even been on ESPN2. That was just so wrong. Oh,
Jackson,
man.
Is LSU building momentum for 2025? Are we going to start that hype again?
No, they're not doing anything to earn that hype. I mean, what I still say goes on Brian Kelly. His tenure at LSU is much similar to Jimbo Fisher at Texas A&M.
Yeah, true. Virginia Tech smacked Virginia around. Ugh.
Yep. And Marshall is in the Sun Belt title game, I believe. So that was pretty good right there. Well, we went over all the.
Yes. There's one game left, I think, and that's BYU Houston, correct?
Oh, yeah. BYU won it for Iowa State.
Yes, so let's cover that real quick before we skedaddle for the night. Yep. So BYU winning, and people will be like, how does BYU winning help anybody? So the way the Big 12 works, and Jackson is a little more better than this with me, but BYU wins, that's how Iowa State clinched their spot. So Jackson, explain to the people what the scenario was. How does BYU winning help Iowa State? What's the tiebreaker situation? Because I know we had a couple people asking how does that exactly work?
Well, they needed Iowa State to lose. So there was the problem there. They needed that. And, of course, they beat Houston, but Kansas State couldn't keep up their part of the deal. 1-2 says that Big 12 tiebreakers are a complicated mess of irrelevant nonsense. Y'all.
Because here's the thing. Because if BYU would have lost, Colorado would have gotten that spot. And people were like, how does that make any sense? If they kept saying Iowa State just needs to win. Like 1-2 said, the Big 12 tie-breaking system, it's like a bad hair day. It's so complicated. Jackson, I just wish, to put a bow on this, I just wish they would make it where you just play everybody on the schedule head-to-head, and be done.
Yep. But it is what it is. They're going to get tired. Like, fans are going to get tired of this eventually. Within a few years, they're going to be like, let's go back to divisions, please. You know it's going to happen.
Agreed. But Jackson, you know what fans will never get tired of?
What's that?
Jackson, and that is great content from the Voice of College Football and the Alabama channel. They will never get tired of that.
Nope.
And Jackson, and even though you will not be playing for the SEC title game, never fear, you will still be delivering great content on Monday night. Take it away, good buddy.
We are now 40 subs away from the magic number 2,500. We're making sure we're getting there, and we want to beat Texas at the Voice College Football to 3,000 subs. We want to get there before the Texas channel does. And if you want to help us beat Texas, give us a sub on Alabama with the Voice College Football. Like, if you want top-notch Alabama football content, this is the channel right here to check it out. Tell your friends, your family, and the cashiers that post about the magic that me, Johnny Burtz, and Jeffrey at Only Talk Sports are creating, especially Monday afternoons, where Johnny and I have Crimson Tide Live every Monday, 5 p.m. Central Time, 6 p.m. Eastern Time. And on Thursday nights, Jeffrey and I take your calls on the Alabama Crimson Tide every Thursday night, 9 p.m. Central Time, 10 p.m. Eastern Time, discussing our take on what's going on with Alabama football and so much more. All right here on Alabama at the Voice College Football. Stay tuned. You won't want to miss it, including the latest edition of the Alabama postgame show, where I went over the takeaways from the Alabama-Auburn game. And let me tell you something, it was a wild ride. It was so much fun.
Yes. And Jackson, even better, Jackson, you have a channel as well. If people don't want to see just Alabama stuff, if they want to see Ole Miss, if they want to see some NFL, they can do that on your channel. What have you got going on, good buddy, this week? And what's cooking in your pot of stew?
Well, coming up this upcoming Wednesday, I've got another edition of the College Basketball Recap Preview Show with Will. We're still figuring out the name for that show. And it's a wild one, discussing what's been going on in the Maui Invitational. What's going on with UConn? We're going to be going over so much more on men's college basketball. And, of course, there's also plenty of episodes of the Jacksonian coming up, including some exciting guests for the month of December. Who are they going to be? Tune in to find out. Like, comment, subscribe, click on the notification bell so you never miss another video whatsoever. And, of course, I'm 111 subs away from that magic number 500. I need all the help getting there as much as possible. And, of course, you can find my updates on Jackson VOCFB on X, Jackson Johnson 543908 on Instagram and on Threads. And I can tell you, it's usually a wild ride. Austin, take it away.
So, we have a record turnout tonight, Jackson. We have 215 people watching this show, and we appreciate you all. And we would appreciate, if you do a couple things for us before y'all leave for the night tonight. Make sure y'all like, comment, subscribe, click on the notification bells so you never miss another great video. And as far as and we thank you all for being here. We love y'all to death. We want to keep growing. We want to get to 1,000 views, 2,000, 10,000, as many views as we could generate. But this week, of course, I got my Wednesday night show with my partner in crime, goody old pal Jackson, as we'll be picking the conference championship games. And then we'll be back here Saturday night for Final Whistle, talking about them. And then I've also got planned for that week is the week of Selection Sunday. you never know what could happen for Selection Sunday. It's gonna be a wild ride. We've got Bowl Mania coming up. Me and Jackson will be covering that for you. Of course, we'll be talking about the playoff committee and everything else. It's gonna be a wild ride. Enjoy it, strap in, and we're gonna be here until the very end, until we crown us a champion. So strap in, folks, get your popcorn, and let's go.
There we go. Let's go. 1-2 says he wants to see BYU content. Do we cover BYU sports? Well, I did have on Jacob Hatch on my third episode, the Jack signing in July of 2023 on July 6th of last year. I could see if I can bring him on again for another episode if you want. Or, see if I can snatch Big 12 Mafia, Nathan Brown.
So. Yes. You know what, 1-2? Since you're here every week, we will make it our personal mission for Bowl Mania. We will get someone for BYU, or we will cover it ourselves. We'll break down the BYU game personally, and we will spend half an hour if you would like us to. That's how dedicated we are to our viewers. Ain't that right, Jackson?
Yep, that's right.
But Jackson, as much as we love our viewers, I think it's time for us to go to bed now.
Yeah.
We've had a long day.
Yes, we did.
But, Jackson, it's been a great rivalry week. The Governor's Cup is back home. Alabama keeping dominance in their rivalry. Upsets. It's conference title time now. We're getting in the nitty-gritty now. But until next time, go Cards, everybody.
Roll Tide.
Stay warm. It's snowing outside.